What up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for Sistas on BET Season 3, episode number 11, and the episode is titled Unlock It. Alright, you guys, so before we get into this review, this is also the mid-season finale, by the way. Before we get into the review, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel and are not yet subscribed to the channel, then I'm going to need you guys to stop taking me out on this date. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the notification bell button, hit all the buttons, like them hoes up. And without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about Sistas. Not much really happened in this episode, to be quite honest with you. Alright guys, so we pick up in this episode where we left off in the last one with Andy going to her home, going in her room, and Gary was in there with the woman who was straddling him. I told you guys what it was last week, and I was 100% correct. So, the woman that's in the room straddling Gary and the woman that's standing over is his therapist. Called it like it. I called that shit that was his therapist. I'm like, y'all got to be shitting with me. That's his therapist. Okay, if that's what we want to go with, let's go with that, right? So it's Angela, and the woman that is on top of him is a model. I'm like, a model. Girl, where does Tyler Perry come up with these scripts? Okay. So they were having a session. And this is all because Gary can't get the idea of child. I put this man's name wrong in these notes wrong again. His name is Paris, isn't it? I be forgetting his name, because in here in my notes it says Perry, but it's Paris. It's Paris. So Gary can't get the thought out of his head of Paris touching Andy. So what is Andy supposed to think about you touching your wife? She's supposed to be cool with that? Okay. So Andy tells the model she got to leave. So her name is Jacqueline. So Angela tells Jacqueline to leave. And that's when they start explaining to Andy what's going on. And like I said, it made absolutely no sense. How is Jacqueline on top of Gary supposed to help him get over seeing Andy? Well, he never even saw Andy have sex with Paris. So how's this helping? Please enlighten me on that one. So Andy was like, you know what, Gary, this is a bunch of bullshit. I'm tired of your bullshit. Get out. Take this ring off me, right? So he unlocks the ring. Now Danny, let's move over to Danny real quick. Honestly, with Danny just annoys me. And not in the sense that you guys would think, right? I love me some Danny on the show, but Danny with Preston, Danny has a communication issue. And I think that's what it is that annoys me right about Danny, is that she doesn't communicate with Preston. Granted, I don't know anybody, unless you are someone that is, deeply into, the country living, like, the farm life, raising cattle and stuff like that. Unless you are involved in that, then yes, that would be of interest to you. But I wish Danny would be like to tell Preston, like, hey, Preston, that's just not something I'm into. Like, let's maybe switch the conversation or even lead the conversation, right? Like, if you lead the conversation, then that way, if he sways off, he'd be like, oh, but we were just talking about, I just wish she did that. But she says, she tells him she wished they had something more in common than just sex. He says, oh, well, we do have things in common. She's like, what? He says, you like to laugh and I like to laugh. She's like, that's it. He was like, oh, you want more? So then, the other thing is with Danny and Preston is Danny moved too fast with Preston, right? You've already moved him in, but you guys haven't even been together that long. And you guys don't even know each other to, make that big, huge step. So Preston says, you know what? I'll go live with my cousin. So he's going to go live with his cousin, and Danny have her place back to her. So easy peasy, right? Let's move on. All right, you guys, next up, let's talk about Maurice. Maurice in this episode. So Calvin came home, right? And Maurice got on his, like, I had to get a drink of water. So Maurice is dressed in his fuck'em gear, basically, right? So he tells him that he has company coming over. So the company that came over is none other than Mr. Q. So I'm like, oh, Q must have really put it down on Maurice the last time they had sex. Because Maurice is like, he's sprung at this point. You know, my gentleman caller is coming. Oh, baby. I hate when he takes it too far sometimes, right? So to get Calvin out of the room, he calls Sabrina on his phone so that Sabrina and Calvin can talk. I'm over Sabrina and Calvin, to keep it real with you guys. Over them. So Sabrina asked Calvin would he like to talk. She said she would like to talk to him, and she asked him to come over. So he says, okay, cool. He's going to go over. So then we see Andy. Andy left and went over to Karen's shop. And Pam's nosy ass is still there. I'm like, damn, y'all are closed and she is still in this shop? Girl, I'm going to be paying her for the overtime. Just saying. So Pam says, ooh, you look good in that suit, Andy. Because this is how Pam talks with her hands. Pam talks with her fingers. That's how Pam talks. Pam talks like that. Oh, Andy, I like that suit. Like, where did you get that suit from? Pam, that's nosy to ask me where I got that suit from. But we black people. So, you know, you could tell me. And she says, where's Karen? She's in her what did she say? She's in her office, but she's in a mood right now. So tread lightly if you go in there. That's how Pam talks, literally. So Andy goes in there where Karen is, right? And she says she wants to talk, and she's like, you want to talk about him? She's like, Karen, drop the fucking attitude. So then Andy tells her what happened, right? So she tells her, like, I went home and there was Gary in my bed. There was a woman straddling him, and then his quack over there talking about this is therapy. And Karen was like, well, Andy, I've actually heard about this before because one of my clients, she and her husband do it. She's like, really, Karen? She says, yes. I'm telling you this because, you know I don't like Gary, but I'm telling you this because it's actually true. And she's like, oh, God. So then she also tells him about Gary going to the gym, right? And she's like, oh, isn't that what he told his wife when he was coming to have sex with you? She's like, yes. So Karen says, do you believe him? She says, no, I don't. I'm glad you don't. I am so glad you don't believe that. Oh, excuse me, I didn't mean to burp in your face because anybody with eyes can tell you that was a lie. So then let's move over to Danny. So Danny, Preston told her, actually we ended the episode. We ended this is the last scene with Danny in this episode. So Danny, she took her shower. Preston said he was going to cook dinner for her. Well, he cooked dinner for her and he dipped out. He left a note for her. I didn't see what the note said. She didn't read the note out loud. Tyler Perry didn't do a voiceover where Preston is reading the note, reading the note. So I don't know what the note says. If you guys know what the note said, leave it in the comment section below. We're going to move on. All right, you guys. So Andy, so she's still with Karen, right? So she tells Karen that she's going to go home and she's going to talk to Gary. And Pam says, so y'all still talking? She says, yes, Pam, we're still talking, but you being hella nosy. So Karen asks Pam, when she got her hair done, she says, oh, I went home last night and I washed my hair and I curled it. She says, Pam, you're lying. She says, okay, I went to Isaiah's because he's cheaper and I'm trying to protect my coins. I just want to know why does she act with her hands? Like you would think that she's a sign language actress. Like you would think she speaks with sign language the way Pam talks with her hands, right? So then Zach comes in dressed nice with a new car, and Pam was like, oh, she was looking. It's like, Zach, where do you get this suit from, and whose car is that? She says, you back to scamming, ain't you? He says, no, Pam. She says, oh, let me take a picture. So she took a picture of him. She's like, stay out of jail, Zach. He said, I'm going to try, Pam. So Zach and Karen are talking, right? So he's telling her, about the stock kit that he got. And he was like, I know you girl soldier. She's like, no, they didn't. He says, yes, they did. She says, okay, well, Danny told me, but Brina didn't. I've been noticing that for the last few seasons, that they call Sabrina Brina. Why? Why shorten a name that doesn't need to be shortened? Sabrina. How can you shorten that? They say Brina. Brina. I have never heard anybody by the name of Sabrina go by the name Brina. Like, oh, speaking of which, somebody on Twitter tried to shorten my name, tried to give me, she got mad because I called her out on her shit, right? With the housewives. She kept calling me Hun, and she called me Sweetie and Sugar. I'm like, I'm not either one of them. She's like, well, what do you prefer to go by? I said the name that my mom gave, the name my mother gave me. And if you guys follow me on Twitter, you see my name. It says Gerald Barrett. This bitch had the audacity to say, okay, Jerry. I don't know who, and I asked, I'm like, I don't know who the fuck Jerry is, but don't play with me. Don't play with me. Where we at? So, Zach gives her some money, right? He says this is the money that he's owed her over the years. She tells him to be careful with the money that he has, because that money can go pretty fast and take it from someone who knows. So I guess Karen has some money at one point and she ran through it. So they had this long, drawn-out scene where they both said that they love each other, but they ultimately are not going to be with each other. I was like, why do we need this long-ass scene? But okay, we got it. So then let's move over to Andy real quick. So Andy, she's at her office. She's calling Robin, trying to see where Robin is. And she says, I'll come over to your hotel. He says, no need to come because I'm still here in the office. So he goes in there. She has the settlement paperwork with her, right? And he asks her, where's your ring at? That's the first thing you ask her after you see the settlement. But okay. She says, he says, is everything good? She says, yes. He said, was it because of what happened last night? She says, no, it's not. So then, he wants to celebrate. So he was like, do you have something to drink in here? She says no, but then she says yes. And then they start drinking. And at some point, Andy done took her suit jacket off, right? So she's just in her shirt. I'm like, oh, Andy finna get comfortable. And then they start kissing each other. Like, oh, shit. Girl, you better hope Gary don't walk in because all hell's going to break loose. He already said thinking about you with Paris. Think about him. You have to think about Paris and Robin. Whew, let's move on. All right, you guys, I think I might wrap up the episode. I'm not sure. We'll see. So Zach in his suit, they go back over to Fatima's crib, right? And she tells him that, instead of buying that damn suit, nigga, you should have bought a house. He says, well, I did. And she says, with $25,000, he says, I took that $25,000 and he put it on a stock and he hit. And he told her, what his plans are, right? That his plan is to do like what Chainbreakers did and basically, get his own house and, flip it and then, I guess rent it out and make some money from it, right? So Zach then tells Fatima, he took a chance. She's like, he took a chance on the stock because of her and how, she uplifts him and everything like that, right? Because he says no other woman has done that. His mom hasn't done it. His aunts haven't done it. Karen hasn't done it. I'm like, so damn, every woman in your life basically told you was a fuck up? Okay, that's shitty, but whatever. So then let's move over to Calvin. So Calvin went over to Sabrina's. I'm going to breeze right through Calvin and Sabrina because I don't give one iota of a fuck about either one of them because they both get on my goddamn nerves. So they want to make things work. Go for it. I don't give a fuck. Make it work. Do whatever you're going to do. Go to hell. Like, accept that man for what he brings to the table. So I guess Sabrina and Calvin are back on. Who gives a rat's ass? Yeah, we're going to wrap the episode up. So Aaron, he goes over to Karen's house, right? Karen tells Aaron what's going on with her day, right? About how Isaiah, has left the shop and taken clients with him. And he tells her about his day. So he was a part of a group where people are trying to, do abstinence. So he's preaching abstinence, right? But he told them about him having sex with Karen. And he said that the pastor told him to step down, actually stop doing the teaching, right? And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. He says, no, don't be sorry because I want it to happen again and again and again and again. I'm like, oh, fuck my life, right? She said, but that's going to be an issue. He says, it wouldn't be an issue if we got married. I was like, oh, fuck me. Girl, you don't even know this woman, but you want to marry her. This is why I say Tyler Perry needs script writers. Because they've only known each other for a few days and you already asking her to marry you? But okay, go off. So Maurice and Q, this is the end of the episode. They're in bed, right? And you know, Maurice is so happy he wants to go for round two. And Q was like, Maurice, I gotta tell you something. He's like, what? He says, I'm gay for pay. Maurice's like, nigga, I ain't finna pay you for shit. So he said, you know, you know about me. Like, I'm not getting into this. I'm not into this shit unless I get something from it. Did he pay you the first time? Because if he didn't, then you did get something from it. A nut. Stop playing with me. So then Maurice tells him you need to leave. So then Q gets a phone call. Yeah, I'm with this bitch ass nigga. And Maurice's like, this bitch ass nigga? Who is the bitch ass nigga? So then Q pulls out a gun and you know he tells Maurice, we finna go to your fucking bank and we finna rob that bitch. And that's where the episode ended. I'm like, well, good goddamn. Okay. Way to end this. I mean, it ended on a cliffhanger. Okay. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Leave your comments in the comment section below and subscribe to the channel. And hit that notification bell button so you guys are notified when I drop anything else. And share the video. And until the next one, you guys stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. And remember, wash your hands, wear a mask, socially distance, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.